Hi everybody, Jason Smith here. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Truth About Social Ads. I'm an agency owner specializing in Facebook and Instagram ads, and I have dedicated my professional life to helping you learn what others won't tell you about Facebook ads. You know, I believe there's so much information that no one is sharing about Facebook ads and how you can fail and win running ads for your business and when it's time to hire an agency. That's why I'm here bringing ideas and information that can help you run successful Facebook and Instagram ads. Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of The Truth About Social Ads. We're super excited for today's show. We have Eric with us. What's up, Eric?
Hey guys.
First of all, hope everybody's doing well. I think, Eric, it's been a long week for us so far.
It's been a super long week.
We're getting hammered with stuff, super busy, which is great because not a lot of people are busy right now. But yeah, super excited for today's episode. We're going to talk today a little bit about charging additional agency services. And as everybody knows, we only really do Facebook and Instagram ads. Like that's what we specialize in. That's what our superpower is. That's what we do the best. But we always get asked by clients and we get referrals like, man, it seems like daily, right, Eric? That like people want, hey, do you build landing pages? Do you do this? Do you do that? And we've said no to a lot of stuff, but we've also the last year or so, we've also said yes to a lot of additional services. So, and this episode is not by any means trying to sell additional services for any of our listeners. This is more for agency owners who run an agency or who are thinking about running an agency and really want to hone down like what they're doing. So we'll kind of touch on that a little bit today.
Yeah.
So, Eric, you wanna kind of give a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah,
and all that good stuff.
For sure. And the first thing I want to throw out is that if you're listening to this current and live, anyone struggling with the Apple update out there, we have a resource for you. Go to our website, spotlightsocialadvertising.com/iOS. And there's a download on everything you need to do for the checklist. Check that out. And if you're listening later, hit us up because these things are changing every day. Now that checklist is pretty universal, at least for the next,
for
few
now
months.
it is. Yeah.
But as far as, I mean, even like I'm still thinking, Jason, like of stuff that I said to people like 2 weeks ago and going, oh, I need to reach out because that's not relevant anymore. It's just changing so fast.
Right. Yeah. And just so you guys know, Apple pushed the release of the iOS 14 Facebook update another 2 months. So we have a little bit more time. They've pushed it a little bit longer. And I'm really hoping this doesn't take effect. And we're actually we're gonna talk about this in another episode about some data wars and things like that. But this could ruin a lot of people and a lot of businesses. So be prepared for that. But anyways, let's talk about charging for services here.
And I do want to cue this one up. And so here's the deal. Anybody that knows Jason, the guy is an intimidating dude. He's someone you don't want to mess with, right? He's been in about every known situation. Police work. It's like I've heard the stories. They're crazy stories. And the good thing about him is he's out there trying to catch bad guys, trying to catch people who had killed people. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I just mentioned that because the next part of what I'm going to say is essentially he's nice too. And one of the problems we've had in our agency is him being nice and then getting taken advantage of. And now, not everybody's trying to take advantage of prices, but people generally want the lowest prices. And so, I've seen Jason countless times be like, oh yeah, we'll cover that for you. We'll do that for you. And then look back on it and go, wow, I really gave that person a better deal than I should have for what we did. So kind of the essence of the show tonight is, now don't get me wrong, Jason's not someone you walk over. He's offering the niceness, but on the flip side, we kind of had to make a call and just say, here's the line, here's what we charge for. And in general, the rule of thumb, we'll talk about that in this episode, is the agency, if you're an agency owner, you need to be making 60% on what you do. Now, that's not new. That's been around for a long time. You look at e-commerce brands before the internet, and they wanted to make 60% margin, right? They wanted to make 50, 60, 70% margin. You have to do it to run a business. So we're in this, not in the process right now. There's just some more things that we're tightening up, because we charge for what the value that we give. But there's some things that we're buttoning up that were like little things here and there. And those are the things that, if you're a business owner, this is why we charge for them. And if you're an agency owner, this is why you charge for them.
Yeah.
So let's jump in and talk about it. So there's a few things, and why don't we take them kind of like one by one? Before we do that, Jason, is there anything else you want to add to the intro?
No, yeah, I think that's good. I mean, I think I come off as a very nice guy, and I am a nice guy, right? Like Eric, you know that, right? I'm super chill and cool, but make no mistake about it, don't take my kindness, like the old saying, don't take my kindness for weakness, because you do the wrong thing and I'll show up at your front door and pistol whip you, you know what I mean? So yeah, but and yeah, we don't want that, you know what I mean? So yeah. But
so let's start off and let's talk about, this is kind of a big topic right now, landing pages. So I want to cue this one up. We used to charge $6,000 for landing pages. Now, I'll say there's agencies out there, they specialize in landing pages and they charge 20 grand for landing pages, right? Well, we kind of realized some clients can't afford a $6,000 landing page. So we were basically saying, we want to get you rolling, so we'll do them for way less. We started doing them for $500, just so that people could get rolling and get them, moving, and we can bust them out pretty quick. We're pretty good at them, and we have a lot of people that can build them for us. But why are we doing things for free that are very, very, very valuable? And then, some people go off and do their own landing page and send them over to us, and we instantly look at them and go, it's not going to work. So there's a sweet spot between that 6K and that 500. And these prices are changing all the time, guys. So if you're listening to this and it's a different price, they're changing all the time. But your agency and your business needs to make money off of those landing pages. And I'll tell you right now, 6K, people pay that all day. We tend to want to help our clients get moving and get rolling, which is why we've been doing it for less. But it came to the point where, why isn't the agency making more money on this? And for some people, that might sound easy. Like, oh yeah, I charge 3, right? For other people, they might be thinking, well, I include that in my monthly cost. And we're telling you, don't do that.
Yep.
Can you real quick touch on when we were charging 6K, and this is before I was at the agency. I've been here about a year and a year and a few months. What type of effect did you see that having when people would pay 6K for a landing page, and then let's say their webinar didn't go well?
Yeah. I mean, it was a tough pill for them to swallow, right? Like trying to fork out $6,000 for a landing page. And then, I got to the point sometimes where either it wouldn't convert or they just sucked on the webinar.
So many factors. There's so many factors what can go wrong.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts. It's not just the landing page. It's not just the Facebook ads. Well, I'll say this. Our Facebook ads are damn good. So let's not blame the Facebook ads, because I'll be the first one to go toe to toe with you and go, dude, like a freaking, 6% CTR, like all this stuff. Like it's not the Facebook ads. Trust me. Right. But, and then it kind of evolved into this whole thing where it was like becoming a headache for me, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. So then I said, okay, listen, what we'll do is we'll just build a really simple landing page, thank you page. No more funnels, no more like crazy builds, like all this stuff, because it was becoming this stuff that was taking away from what we were really, really good at, which was Facebook ads.
Yeah.
So then we said, okay, you want some generic, really easy landing page, thank you page? We can do that for you. But then I was being too nice about it. And then next thing I know, we have 30 landing pages we're charging $500 for, and they're really simple, and they convert well though. I mean, most of our
Yep.
Most of our simple landing pages actually convert really, really good. But I had to take a step back and say, okay, what the hell am I doing here? Like, I shouldn't be charging 6,000 and I shouldn't be charging 500. So where is that happy medium where we can make some money, our clients will be happy? And again, we've always led with Facebook and Instagram ads. Like, that's what we do the best. And if a client comes to us being nice guys, we're like, yeah, we could, I mean, if you wanted us to, we could do a page, right? Like a landing
Yeah.
page. And that's kind of how it evolved into this charging X amount. And we've raised our fees since. They're not 6K anymore, but it's hard, like it's hard running an agency. And then I get so busy and I'm like, yeah, just charge them 500. I don't care. Like,
Yep.
that's how it was. And, you can't do that. You got to step back. And my accountant's yelling at me like, dude, we're paying out all these things and you got to start charging more and all this stuff. So it's definitely a learning curve for us. And we're here to be honest and open about these topics because, I mean, you could hear the agency owner that has 100 employees and is making, millions of dollars a month in agency fees. But I guarantee you that person is still making mistakes today, right? Yeah. And we're here to talk about the mistakes that we've made because we think and we know we learn more from mistakes. And I talked about it in the first couple episodes of the podcast. Like, I learn way more from mistakes than I do from just the day-to-day things going smooth.
Yeah, for sure. And with landing pages, I think you explained that well. It wasn't like, oh, let's give stuff away for free. We're Spotlight social advertising. Like, our background is Facebook ads, Facebook, Instagram ads. So it wasn't like, oh, let's just give this away. It was like, let's get people going and scale them up and making money. So, oh yeah, just build them a page. Just charge a minimum. Well, when we started doing that too much, that is a mistake. And we are talking about it openly and it's okay.
And don't get me wrong, like we also like, dude, we've run millions of dollars through these landing pages.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we've got a client that because of one of our landing pages, he's in the 2 Comma Club at ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
Our stuff works. It converts really well. It's just we charged him $500 and he made $1 million in 1 year off of that freaking landing page, and we only charged him $500. Like, that pisses me off a little bit, But we're also like, we're nice guys. And if a client comes to us and says, hey, could you guys help us out? Of course, we're going to do all we can to help out because that's part of being an agency and being cool. And we truly do like all of our clients and we think they're great people. They're super cool. We got rid of the crappy ones a while ago. So
yeah.
So they're all cool. And we'll do anything and we'll bend over backwards for clients. We really will. But I was doing it way too much. And
and then that's the part where I'll jump in is that when we're doing that with, and we'll go over a few things here, landing pages, software, images, video editing, custom videos. I mean, I'll tell you very cautiously a story where, and we'll get into this in a minute, Jason ate $5,000 on a project and was glad to do it because it was a client we want to be with long term. And, that was really nice, but all of these things add up. They add up. And then when we look at them together and go, holy crap, that was tens of thousands of dollars that we just like gave away. And kind of what we want to talk about here is the uncomfortableness of charging for additional services. Even though your agency or business might not be the best at something, if you do something well, you should be making money on it. And that's why we make sure, and the principle is 60%. The agency should make 60% margin on anything that you do. So landing pages, we've already, upped the prices on that. And it is an uncomfortable feeling. It is an uncomfortable feeling to go to people and say, hey, I'm going to give you the same thing, but I'm going to charge you more money. That's very uncomfortable. I'm going to kind of skip ahead, Jason. I'm going to talk real quick about kind of an aha moment. And let's talk about this video for a second. So we did a video, one of our best clients, and we charged, let's just call it $5,000. It's a round number. I can't remember if it was more or less. It was in that ballpark. And there was a lot of stuff that we didn't anticipate. And we ended up having to pay. I didn't pay for it. Jason paid for it personally out of his pocket. Now, we love this client and it was amazing, or the video shoot was amazing. And that's not our specialty, right? Well, let me take that back. We do create amazing brand videos for anybody listening. I don't want people to think we don't do them. We do have, two amazing filmmakers that, if someone wants a high class video, not trying to sell it, but we have that if someone wants it. Then we went to a YouTube event with one of our partners, agency partners, and, kind of we're talking pricing, and they were like, yeah, 30 grand is like normal for us. Like 30 grand is like kind of what we charge. So
Yeah.
if you think about being uncomfortable going 5 to 7 or 5 to 10, now that filmmaker charges 20 grand all day. He did this project for 5. So that's the mindset to have when you're going in to raise your prices, is like, okay, this is the work I do. And this is something I always repeat, is you get paid to do more of the work that you do. We get paid to scale people's businesses and run world-class Facebook, Instagram ads. And that's what we get paid to do again and again. So that uncomfortableness is never going to go away. You just have to say, well, this person is doing it. And we're in the process of raising our prices right now. And we're looking at other people who are doing similar work and going, wait, we do just as good of work. Why are we charging a little bit less than them? And we're raising our prices. So that uncomfortableness, you just have to get used to it and raise those prices. So we want to go over some specifics and what we do. Next, let's talk software. Now, this is one that, I'll tell you, like, my gut on it is I'm always going to, well, I should say there's 2 routes. And then Jason, you jump in if you agree or disagree. There's either the route of you give the client ownership, you sign them up for web hosting or whatever you're doing for them. You give them ownership, you let them have it. Then there's the flip side, which is you have a valuable software that the client knows nothing about. Should you charge for that? Absolutely, you should charge for that. We have to pay for it. Absolutely, we should charge the client for that. Anything you want to add there, Jason?
No, yeah, it's good. Yeah. And I guess charging the right amount is the key thing here, because again, we are doing all the work to make sure that software functions. So the question I know me and Eric had like a long time ago is, okay, so do we only charge them what the software is going to cost? Or do we also look at the fact that we're the ones setting it up, we're taking the time to implement everything? So do we charge them a little bit more to do that as well? And it's always a question of that. I don't want to be a jerk and be like, oh, hey, I'm going to charge you $500 extra. The software only costs $250 a month, but I'm going to charge you $500. I don't want to be a jerk like that either. But you also have to think logically about it and think, okay, we're doing all the work here. So do you add on that extra $100, $200, $300 because we're doing all the work? You know what I mean? And that's always a question that you need to ask yourself.
Well, and to add on to that, we go through training and learning and spend hours inside of the software and on YouTube and hacking things out. Like, I can think of certain softwares and site builders and text automation and stuff. Like, we have spent months learning this stuff. And like, you could hand that same software to someone and they can't do anything with it because they don't know how to use it. We've spent years training and learning how to do this. And so of course we're going to charge a premium. Now, everyone has to decide what they're comfortable charging for and what they're not comfortable charging for. I think kind of there's a few rules of thumb. One is Jason paying, and I say Jason, obviously me and him decide what people are paying, but ultimately he's the boss. Is he paying someone to do that work? An easy example would be video editing. Do we charge for video editing or is that included? Well, we're paying someone to do that video editing. So of course we should charge and mark it up. And kind of software, it's the same thing. Do you set it and forget it, or do you have to maintain it and learn and stay up to speed? Because if you do, there's an added value there, 100%, I believe.
And
Jason,
most software, you have to stay up to date. You can't just like set it and forget it, because they're either doing updates, they're making it better, or you have other things going on that are beyond your control that you have to stay updated on, you know?
Yeah, and it's funny because I've seen you spend like 5 hours installing this like unique dynamic code, right?
Yeah.
The client never sees that, but you spent 5 hours of your evening skipped dinner or whatever and figured out how to install this dynamic tracking code, which that'll change soon. We'll talk about in another episode, but you spent all that time using and applying that software. So, and I'll tell you right now, for web hosting, I never marked that up. Guys used to do that, drive me nuts. I go into businesses and they're like, yeah, I pay $300 a month in hosting. I'm like, what are you doing that for? Sign up for WP Engine, pay $30. Here's your login, right? I'm not going to charge someone for that. Yeah. I don't. But text automation, you got to stay up on that. If there's changes, you got to adjust. Stuff like that definitely deserves a markup. So that's kind of the way that we'll look at what's marked up and what's not. But if there's time spent, you should charge for it. And the standard is 60% to the agency. That can vary. Obviously, stick with what's fair, but that's kind of a general rule of thumb there. So let's talk about white labeling for him. Are we there yet?
Yeah. So, I think we can move on to white labeling. So the moral of the story is, don't be a dick and charge all this crazy stuff, right? Because we hear it every day. Oh, wow, you guys charge this. I was paying more than that. And you guys do way better work than another agency does. That's always going to be the case in this industry. Most don't know what they're doing. Some do. And some are like top-notch, super good. And I can count on my fingers the agencies that I trust. I can count on one hand, right? The agencies I really, really trust that do a really good job with Facebook ads. So,
well, and then you have the guys. These guys, right, that they do exactly what we do, but they package it up and they sell it for $125,000, right?
Right.
And I'm not, dude, don't get me wrong. There's clients that pay us probably more than that, but I'm talking like that package that these guys who just figured out how to sell and not deliver. And trust me, we know these people. We've talked to them personally. They've paid over $100,000 and got nothing from it. So when you're thinking about raising your prices from $2,000 to $5,000, just know there's someone out there charging $125,000 and not delivering results. So if you're delivering results, you need to charge accordingly.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about white labeling. And the reason we wanted to bring this in to this conversation is that a lot of times white labeling is tempting, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to have Jason really kind of elaborate about how he feels about this, because ultimately he's the one that is going to hear this client is unhappy because of this. It's going to come back to Jason. There's the risk is that less quality service because you don't control it, and less quality customer service. So why don't you kind of give your rundown on white labeling? White labeling really cuts down your margin. So,
yeah.
Your thoughts on white labeling?
Yeah, some people swear by white labeling, and I don't, only because we've had bad experiences with white labeling. Essentially, if you don't know what white labeling is saying you're an agency owner, you come to me and say, hey, Jason, we do PPC or YouTube ads, but we don't do Facebook. But what we'd like to do is tell the client that we do Facebook, but we're going to have you do all the work and run the ads, pay you accordingly, but you're going to have no contact with the client. That third party is going to be the one that is the one dealing with the client. And at first it's like, oh man, that would be awesome, right? Like not having to deal with the client and just white labeling it out. We run the Facebook ads, do great, right? Well, things don't always go great, right?
Yeah.
Running Facebook ads, things don't always go great. And if any agency says they can do it month in and month out without something going wrong, is lying to you. Don't hire them. It sounds great. It sounds easy, but it ends up being, for us anyways, for me, it ends up being more pain than just us doing it and dealing with the client directly. Because speaking from personal experience, this is what happened to us. We took on a white labeling situation, and then little did we know, stuff wasn't being communicated to the client that we were doing. And it looked like we weren't doing as much as we were doing because the third party involved, that person who wanted to hire us to white label, wasn't doing their job and communicating correctly to the client. And then the whole thing just fell apart because that one person wasn't a good liaison from us to them and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, and then we were getting miscommunication on the around the client side, and it ultimately just failed because we didn't have a good liaison. Now, if you have somebody you can trust and you know what they're doing and all that good stuff, then fine. But I still don't suggest you white label. So when someone comes to me now and says, "Hey, Jason, do you white label?" I say, "Yeah, I'll white label, but I have to deal with the client."
Yeah.
Right? Or
Yep.
we have to deal with the client. It's not going to work if you're in the middle, because Facebook ads is too complicated of a platform for you to be going back and forth to the client. And if you're not running Facebook ads, you're not going to know like the little things you need to tell the client, right? Like all the stuff that needs to be said to the client so that they fully understand that you have a capable agency running their Facebook ads. It's not going to work.
Yep.
So white label at your own risk. I say no, because if you can't have direct contact with the client for Facebook and Instagram ads, it may not work unless you totally trust that person, that they know exactly what they're doing. And if they're not running Facebook ads full time, they don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
And they
And
don't
then,
know how to communicate that activity and what you're doing to the client. Bottom line, you
Yep.
know? So,
and I would add too, there's that side of it. So there's the customer relationship side. And then a couple more things to add what Jason said is one, then Jason goes to kind of, let's say that there's 4 clients. Let's say it's a new relationship, hypothetical, and there's 4 clients and one of them's not getting communicated to well. Well, you have other clients you need to keep, so it gets sticky because now
yeah.
you have to go to the other agency that you're kind of in bed with for these 3 other clients and chew them out about one and not lose the other 3. So it just can get really sticky. So that's another thing. And then one more part is the margin has to be there. It has to be there. At one point, I was building websites, and I remember another guy that was building websites years ago. He was like, whether you charge someone 2,000, 5,000, or 10,000, and this is more small business websites, you kind of end up doing the same work. Now, that's not always true because there can be more pages. Someone could be more tough to deal with. But in general, I've built sites that I charge 1,000 for and 5,000 for, and I did the same exact amount of work. So with white labeling, when you sit down to do the work and take care of your client, if there's not enough margin, you're just not going to have the push to do it. So you got to make sure up front that you're being paid fair and your team's being paid fair, so they will, pull through, do the work, and do a good job.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Totally agree there. So white label at your own risk.
Yeah, white label at your own risk. And then we're trying to keep these topical we want them to have value, and we want to cover valuable stuff for people and keep them kind of brief. So let's touch on one more topic here, unless you have something else after, Jason. But let's talk about sticky services for cancellation.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about this, and I'll kind of cue up the conversation. There's the one side of it where you have the web guy that has every single precaution that if people cancel, they'll take away this and they'll remove that, and they can't get into their website and do all this stuff. And then there's the other side where you just totally trust people and you just say, here you go. Well, you host your website. And I know I've been talking about websites. It's not what we do. We do Facebook ads. I just have a background in it, so I'm referring to it. So I tend to err on the side of trust. As an example, the other day I hit up Jason. I was like, hey, this client, we built, a bunch of landing pages and stuff. Ads are doing good. They want us to transfer the domain to their GoDaddy account. That's where it was hosted, right? So they asked for the domain, and Jason's like, yeah, give it to them. No problem. So there's times when you trust and you give, and then there's times when you don't, and people essentially, how do I say it? It's not that we want them to feel pain when they leave. And obviously I know clients can be listening to this. So I don't want to say that at all, but at the same time, we want people to recognize the value that we add, and then when they go away, that value goes away. So I tend to err on the side of trust people. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I used to, and then I've been screwed over so many times with it that I'm just like, hey, our policy is If you leave us, we delete your ads, right? Like that's, and it may sound kind of harsh, but here's the deal. You said earlier, we kind of want it to sting a little bit if they don't want to work with us or they cancel. Like you don't get to just keep running our ads that we've worked our butts off to build and make and convert well, and they do well, to just keep running with those ads. Like it's like anything else. If you pay for a service and you cancel, you don't get that service anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And it's a tough line to walk sometimes, because there are some clients where, they want to cancel. Let's say, oh, I want to bring it in house, or hey, you know what? We're kind of restructuring the business. We need to step back for a bit. We promise we'll be back. Do we just take their word for it and say, oh, you know what? Okay, well, we'll just leave your ads there, and we'll leave our ads there. And when you're ready to go again, come back. And then like a month later, I find out that another agency is running our ads that we built, and they're the ones reaping the rewards from the hard work that we did. And they're not a high level agency. They're some freaking dude off Upwork because they didn't want to pay, a $5,000 agency fee. Like I said, I may really like a client a lot, coolest person in the world, go out for drinks, do this, do that, whatever. But the bottom line is this, is if you cancel or we fire you or whatever the situation is, the ads that we built are going away. They will be deleted. And if you think about it logically, it's only reasonable that we would do that. And it's tough, man. I mean, Eric and I were discussing that today on another client who is going to cancel. Totally cool. We have a great relationship still. If I ever was in that neck of the woods, I would totally call him up and hang out with him, because we think he's a great guy. And we were going back and forth about the fact, like, so should we leave his ads? He said he's going to come back. And I made the decision. I'm like, no, we're deleting them, because I already know what's going to happen is he may go hire somebody else, or they may just keep running their ads, and they're not going to benefit from all the hard work that we did.
Yeah.
So as harsh as it may seem, it's what agencies do. And we're not the only agency that does this, And so the only thing that I would say is, if you're a client listening to this or an agency owner, have some pride. Don't kick that agency out before they can delete their ads, because that's just messed up. And I believe in karma. It's all going to come back to haunt you in the end. So we run high level Facebook ads, and you're not going to know how to run them if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah. And I'll be straight up with you. And you know this. When I first came on, I didn't know that practice, and it made me super uncomfortable and nervous. And then until one day, Jason explained it to me, and it totally makes sense. So what some companies will do, first of all, if you're going to hire someone who really knows how to scale your Facebook ads, like it's expensive, right? So that's a very tough position to fill in-house. That's why there's so many agencies. So what some companies will sneakily do, and we've had people do this to us, and it pisses us off because it's not cool, is they'll hire Jason, and that's the draw to the agency, is like, guys, we're experts. We live and breathe Facebook ads. That's what we do. So they'll hire us and then fire us and run our ads for 2 months. And I'm going to lay out a couple scenarios here. I wasn't even planning on talking about this, but let's talk about it. So we've had people do that to us, and they've run them for years and made tons of money based off of the skill set. Now, they could have made more if we were optimizing and we were building more, but that's what they did, and it's messed up. So that's one reason, is they'll hire. It's more expensive to hire us than fire us than have some kid do it, like some random kid. So that's one scenario. Another scenario, and this is a principle we live by, is as an agency, I'd say the number one factor in whether people stick with us and why so many of our clients have stuck with us for so long is because of the results that we get them. That's why. It's because now we love people, we have good relationships and all of that. But that's really what it comes down to, is getting those results. And, that's the draw. It's Jason gets good results, and he trains all of our account managers on how to get good results. So it's tough to find someone. It's really hard for companies to bring someone in-house. And I guess where I'm going with it is that we do not allow other agencies to be inside of Business Manager while we are, because we're accountable for those results. And so that's a very hard line. And what we'll do, and this will be helpful for even business owners here and agency owners, is if we're accountable for those results, we need to be behind the wheel driving and controlling what's going on. Because if we have agency B take a shot at 2 campaigns, like, business owner's buddy, and the numbers dip, who are they going to hold accountable? Us. So we don't allow other agencies in. And back to kind of come full circle here, is what we don't want is business owner's buddy to have us build all the ads and then come in and run our ads for us. So those are kind of 2 things we steer away from. That's why we do it. And I mean, I'll tell you, we've been in agencies with 300 people, and Jason knows more than them, like far more than them. We've seen it with our own eyes. So that's why we have that practice, and why, we offer a premium service, because of a premium skill set. I may not have explained that well, but anything you want to add there, Jason?
No, yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, if you don't want to pay for these services, because I tell you what, our skill set can make you a lot of money. And if you're not willing to share that money a little bit with an agency who's going to be a partner, then don't hire them.
Yeah.
Just don't hire them, because it's not going to be worth it in the long run. But if you see value in it, in the fact that we can partner with a business and scale them from zero to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Facebook at a high level, why can't we have a little piece of that? We should be able to. And that's why we charge a premium for it, So
100%.
It just makes sense. I mean, I've met guys who are like, dude, I'm totally cool with you guys taking your piece of the pie. That's fair, right? At a premium. And those people who haggle over it, we don't need to work with them. So
yeah, and the people that we make the most money for, they're cool with it, because they were cool with it from the beginning, because they know, like, this skill set is going to make a lot of money, and it does. And another thing too, I will point out, but before we wrap up here, is, and it's funny because I learned it I didn't know him at all. I know you're close with Jason Swank, but Jason Swank said, be really specific and specialize in something. And that's what we do, is we're very specific. We specialize in what we do. And, that's something that I would recommend to any agencies out there, is really get specialized at what you do and just be the best at it. So that's what we do. And that's why we offer that high value to people and make people a lot of money. So that was all the notes I have for today. 60%, your agencies should make 60%. Even if you're doing something as an afterthought, charge 60%. Make 60% goes towards the agency. The rest goes to operating expenses, paying your people, and everything else that you need to do. But make sure that even on those other charges that you're making money, because those add up. So that's the main thing we wanted to touch on today. Anything else you want to add before we wrap this one, Jason?
Nope. Yeah, I think it's been good. I think, again, you're probably not going to hear a lot of other podcasts or podcasts that are agency owners are doing a podcast like this, where we just kind of tell you how it is, and what pisses us off and what is awesome. And if you're a client of an agency, let them do their job. If they're doing a good job, let them work, man. If they're good at it, then they'll do the work, and you don't have to worry about them. But yeah, I think this has been a good episode. Again, we try to keep it as real as we can, and we don't want it to be vague. We want to be to the point, and I hope we've accomplished that in today's episode.
Yeah, I'm surprised you shared a lot of stuff you shared tonight. So there you go, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for sharing all that, Jason.
Yeah, no problem. See you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to The Truth About Social Ads. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Please visit our website at truthaboutsocialads.com for show notes and additional episodes. And if you have time, please subscribe to the podcast, and please consider rating and reviewing the show if you enjoyed it. That will help other people find us. By the way, I would love to hear from you. Please send me an email at jason@spotlightsocialllc.com with your feedback, questions, or a topic you'd like me to talk about on the show. If you send me a question, maybe I'll read it on the show. See you later. Bye.